In the Simpsons episode Margian Chronicles, Season 27, Episode 16, the Simpsons volunteer for a mission to colonize Mars. Initially set for a distant future, their mission gets bumped up when funding starts to dry up. But when it's time to launch, Marge and Lisa are ready to board the spaceship, only for the shuttle to fail at the last minute. Now I know what you're thinking, the Simpsons predicting Mars missions, that's a bit of a stretch, but in reality, we've been hearing a lot of talk about Mars recently. Elon Musk has been talking about colonizing Mars for years. In fact, his company SpaceX has been testing Starship launches for potential Mars missions. Musk has even said that he envisions regular trips to Mars to eventually build a self-sustaining colony, saying, quote, "No matter what happens with landing success, SpaceX will increase the number of spaceships traveling to Mars exponentially with every transit opportunity. We want to enable anyone who wants to be a space traveler to go to Mars. That means you, your family, or friends, anyone who dreams of great adventure." NASA is also working on sending astronauts to an asteroid in 2025 and are hoping to send crewed missions to the Red Planet by the 2030s. The idea that we could be looking at Mars colonization within the next few decades is looking pretty plausible. Let's just hope things won't play out like they did in the cartoon with the shuttle exploding, but the fact that we are seriously talking about sending humans to Mars in the near future is something that really can't be ignored. Now in the classic Simpsons episode Itchy and Scratchy Land from Season 6, the Simpsons visit a high-tech theme park where the violent cartoon antics of Itchy and Scratchy come to life. Not through human actors and costumes, but through robots. Now, this isn't exactly a groundbreaking idea, right? Sci-fi has been toying with the concept of robots replacing jobs pretty much since the beginning of sci-fi, but all the same, looking at it today, we're seeing robots become more and more advanced every year. And with AI becoming a massive force in our world, it's not that far-fetched to imagine a future where instead of actors in cartoon character costumes, we have full-on functioning robots bringing some of our favorite animated characters to life at theme parks. In the Simpsons episode Bart to the Future, which we'll be bringing up multiple times on this list, which is Season 11, Episode 17, in case you want to give it a rewatch, Lisa Simpson becomes the first female president of the United States, but what else did that episode predict? Well, it also forecasted Donald Trump's presidential run. Remember, this was years before he even ran for office in 2016, so if the Simpsons got that right, maybe we should start taking their political predictions a bit more seriously. Also, buying a Christmas tree during the Halloween season. In this opening scene, Homer, dressed as Bender from Futurama, pulls back the flap of his costume to reveal a sticker reading Ivanka 2028. Now, the idea of Ivanka Trump running for president might seem kinda silly, but I feel like I'm probably speaking for a lot of us when I say I really don't know what to expect from the world I'm living in these days. I don't think anything would surprise us at this point. Will she run in 2028? Only time will tell, but we wouldn't be shocked if we start hearing whispers about it in the very near future. Now let's talk about something that might be a little closer to home, pun intended. In the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode from Season 13, Marge upgrades the family home into a state-of-the-art smart house called the Ultra House 3000. If you remember the episode, it's basically a 2001 A Space Odyssey parody, and of course the house goes rogue, starts trying to kill Homer. A bit over the top, sure, but here's the thing. Smart homes are already here, and they're getting way more advanced. We've got devices like Alexa and Google Home that can control everything from the lights to your music, but the more people rely on these gadgets, the more we've started to notice some weird quirks. Lights turning off without command, or Alexa butting in on a conversation without being asked. It's like every now and again these machines start to act a little too sentient. So while we haven't yet seen a smart home completely turn on its owners and try to kill them, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility maybe. With AI getting smarter and tech getting more embedded in our everyday lives, who knows, maybe one day you'll have to make sure your smart fridge isn't secretly plotting your demise. Next up, let's talk about mind control through music. In Season 12, Episode 14, New Kids on the Block, Bart, Nelson, Milhouse, and Ralph form a boy band called Party Posse. Their first song is a massive hit, but their song is actually being used for subliminal mind control. In the music video for their song Drop the Bomb, part of the chorus goes, "Yvan ek nioj the lyrics of which are spelled out on screen. Well, Lisa discovers that when spelled out backwards, the line becomes "Join the Navy." In the episode, the music producer behind the boy bands is revealed to be a Navy lieutenant, using music as a covert tool for recruitment. While the plot itself is clearly ridiculous, it does touch on something that's not as far-fetched as it sounds: the idea of subliminal messages in media. Now, this is of course nothing new, but in a world where we're more consumed by media than ever before, who's to say we won't see more subtle psychological tactics used in pop music, social media, movies, and the countless shows we stream online. I think the most ridiculous and hard to believe part about this episode is actually Nelson being in a boy band, and that's saying a lot. The Simpsons also have an AI robot takeover in an episode. In the episode Them Robot from season 23, Mr. Smithers calls all the workers into a meeting. And what's the big announcement? Well, Smithers proudly reveals an army of AI robots, telling the employees, "You will train them and they will replace you." Creepy, silly and fun though, because it's The Simpsons and the robots are fittingly voiced by Brent Spiner, who played Data in Star Trek, but also this is just a little too real. According to a 2023 report from Business Insider, the World Economic Forum estimates that 85 million jobs will be replaced by robots by 2025. This whole AI takeover thing isn't just some wild idea, it's already starting to happen. And while robots might make certain jobs easier or more efficient, the flip side is that millions of people might lose their jobs as a result. Next, let's talk about something a little more uplifting, literally, hover cars. The Simpsons wasn't the first to dream up flying cars. I mean, science fiction has been teasing them for decades, but what's really cool is there's actually a company called Samson Sky working on bringing this dream to life. They've developed a flying car called the Switchblade, which, to be honest, is more like a car with retractable wings rather than a full-on hover vehicle. Still, it's pretty cool. The company claims it's the world's first flying sports car, and while it might not be the classic hovering car we've all imagined, I think it still counts. At least it's creeping towards it. The Simpsons also predicted Trump's 2024 run. This one also ties into the Barbie movie release, but we'll get to that in a minute. So back in 2015, there was a Simpsons short called Trumptastic Voyage. In a scene where Homer flies by a billboard, we see a sign that reads Trump 2024. At the time, it was a totally out there prediction, right? Well, we all know Trump ran in 2024 and won, but that's not the only eerily accurate prediction from The Simpsons when it comes to Trump. Fast forward to 2023, when the Barbie movie hit theaters, and on the same exact day, Trump was arrested. Coincidence? Maybe, but if you watch the episode Lisa vs. Malibu Stacy from season 5, episode 14, you'll catch a news report mentioning the release of a new Malibu Stacy doll. Toward the end of the segment, the anchor casually adds that the US president has been arrested. In 2023, that moment felt way too familiar. The fact that The Simpsons nailed both Trump's political comeback and the exact timing of the Barbie movie's release and the rest stuff, I don't know, it's just, it's really weird. Economic collapse. Now that's fun to think about. Well, again, in Back to the Future, the United States economy crashes, and in the episode, it's supposedly directly tied to Donald Trump's presidency. While the idea of an economic crash under Trump seemed like a far-out prediction at the time, the reality we're facing today is far from rosy. I mean, just in general, the world's economy is struggling. After the global disruptions of 2020 and beyond, lockdowns, the rise of remote work, supply chain chaos, it's just no surprise that things haven't exactly bounced back. Sure, we're not talking about a full-on economic meltdown just yet, but the signs of something major and destructive are definitely there. Here's something that's already here though, NFTs. In The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode Wild Bart's Can't Be Token from 2023, Mayor Quimby announces that the town's art museum is being closed down because all art is now going to be sold as NFTs. Now, at the time, NFTs were already a thing, but they were nowhere near as huge as they became a few years later. NFT art was exploding a couple years back, but it hasn't gone away. Sure, this episode premise was a little ridiculous. Art museums shut shutting down for NFTs might seem a little out there, but look around and you'll see it's not actually that far off. We've got virtual art galleries popping up, VR headsets for experiencing art, and AI-generated artwork that's been pushing the boundaries of what's considered real art. The point is, a lot of folks have plenty of things to entertain themselves with from the comfort of their own home now, barely ever feeling the need to go out and engage with the world, let alone going to an art gallery. So museums and art galleries shutting down is really not that far-fetched. Alright, we're starting things off with a world-ending comet, or Springfield-ending comet. In the episode Bart's Comet, Bart is forced to join Principal Skinner on a very early star-watching excursion, and Bart just happens to spot a comet, which Bart phones into the local observatory, and moments later has already made the morning paper. Scientists soon learn that the comet is heading straight for Springfield, and after a rocket launched by Professor Frank fails to destroy the comet, blowing up the Springfield Bridge instead, all the town can do is wait for the inevitable. It's a great episode, hilarious, just like most of the episodes were around this time, but I do remember having this unsettling feeling watching it when I was younger. Like watching throughout the episode as this comet just gets closer and closer. It's a freaky thing to think about actually witnessing in real life, wondering how you deal with such an inevitability, wondering how you'd spend your last days on Earth as you watch utter doom slowly descending from the sky. Could we ever be in a situation where a giant space rock hurtles towards us to cause mass destruction and death? Possibly. Let's just hope things go like they did in The Simpsons and the thing just burns up in the atmosphere.
Alright, next on our list today we have the suppression of green energy. In Paths of Glory, episode 8 of season 27, Lisa invents a solar-powered car for the Alternative Energy Derby of Springfield. The race starts off great with Lisa pulling into the lead, but just as she's about to reach the finish line, the major beverage corporation, Duff, decides to block out the sun, rendering Lisa's solar-powered vehicle useless. A perfect example of large companies working hard to prohibit the production and rise in popularity of sustainable energy sources. Sound familiar? Think big oil, and think of the political parties whose campaigns are funded by big oil. Do you really think that they are okay with solar energy coming to the forefront and slashing their profit margins? I don't think so. And it's not just solar energy either, there is a war on sustainability as a whole. The people coming up with bioplastics and alternative fuel sources are a huge threat to these massive money-hoarding conglomerates, which really makes you wonder when you take into account that those on the forefront of sustainability breakthroughs generally tend to end up dead or behind bars. Coincidence or silenced? You tell me.
Life's a glitch, and then you die. It's the final segment of Season 11's Treehouse of Horror episode, and because this was 1999, it was a Y2K-centered story. Now, even though the story was referencing all these worries that are pretty ridiculous looking back, there are some things in this episode that very well could play out in real life. In the episode, it's New Year's Eve, and Springfield Nuclear Power Plant's Y2K compliance officer, Homer, has prepared for the new year by fixing every computer at the power plant, all except for his own computer, which then creates a virus that rapidly spreads to computers all over the world, causing total catastrophe. All technology goes completely haywire, communications get all messed up, so planes start to crash into each other, traffic lights start shooting lasers, even electronic home appliances go rogue, turning on their owners and begin attacking. And the whole town starts rioting and looting. It all culminates with the Simpsons learning of a manned rocket being sent to Mars with humanity's best and brightest to repopulate the species. Bart and Homer are not allowed on. Look, I'm not saying we'll ever be in a situation where we need to avoid being hit with lasers from traffic lights, but a mass computer virus spreading through the internet and causing a total shutdown and societal breakdown? That's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
Next on our list today we have a major environmental disaster. In the Simpsons movie, titled The Simpsons Movie, Springfield's local lake becomes so polluted that the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, or EPA if you're Abe, decide to imprison the town under a giant glass dome. Prior to the imprisonment of Springfield, the town had put out a warning to its citizens not to dump hazardous waste into the lake and to instead take it to a hazardous waste facility to be properly disposed of. Some people listened, but not everyone. Homer. And the final straw, of course, took place when Homer Simpson plowed through the barrier surrounding the lake to dump a silo full of pig shite. Immediately the lake began to bubble and then turn green and then turn black, and then a squirrel fell in and immediately turned into a mutant. Some of the most polluted lakes in the world are loaded with hazardous radioactive waste, causing the waters to turn black or red. Not green, but close enough, and giving these waters the ability to kill you within an hour. With pollution in the world at an all-time high, it might not be so far-fetched to think that one day things will get so bad that the government becomes forced to isolate certain cities and towns from the rest of the world for their protection? Who knows? Kinda worrying, if you ask me.
How about the rise of VR leading to the downfall of the human race? Could we have a Ready Player One situation on our hands, or worse, in the near future? In the season 28 episode Friends and Family, which aired in 2016, God, season 28 came out in 2016. That is nuts. Anyway, Mr. Burns discovers the wonders of virtual reality after grabbing a pair of VR glasses from Professor Frink, who he accidentally runs over with his car. Most of the episode focuses on Mr. Burns hiring the Simpsons as his new family, minus Homer, but at the end we get a glimpse of the near future, with the entire town of Springfield using VR goggles. People are using them everywhere, walking into oncoming traffic, walking into street poles. An old lady falls down a well, or a manhole, that's the word for that. Homer and Marge are even using VR goggles in bed, getting frisky in VR though, while laying right beside each other in real life doing absolutely nothing. It's all pretty silly, but it's also really not a stretch to imagine mass amounts of people getting addicted to VR, like spending the majority of their time in worlds they wished they lived in. I tried VR once, it was awesome. I didn't want to like take those goggles off and be back sitting in my buddy's dingy living room again. I wanted to be back in the jungle with dinosaur robots.
Speaking of robots, next we have the robot revolution. And yes, I know we've talked about this one before, but I feel like it's so close to happening that it's worth mentioning again. In a bit more detail, that is. In season 23, episode 17, Them Robot, we see robots taking over the workforce and replacing all human employees at the Springfield nuclear power plant. Before that, episode 4 of season 6, Itchy and Scratchy Land, we see robots at an Itchy and Scratchy themed amusement park go rogue and kill everyone. It's no secret that the practice of outsourcing human jobs to automated machinery is on the rise. It started with robotics taking over assembly lines, factory work, and call centers, but it has since evolved into an uprising of robots working in healthcare, transportation, security, cleaning services, you name it. And recently, we've also seen an uprising in articles and artwork produced by robotic artificial intelligence as well. Talk about depriving the masses of a human touch. But of course, there's also the matter of the whole Itchy and Scratchy Land possibility, which has actually happened before and might just continue to happen if we aren't careful. In 2021, a Tesla engineer was attacked by an assembly robot. The machine grabbed the man and pressed him into a conveyor belt, causing severe chest injuries that later proved fatal. If that's not foreshadowing, I'm not sure what is. I mean, Elon Musk himself even said AI is far more dangerous than nukes. Maybe we should listen to the man condemning AI, who is also at the forefront of AI. It's all very scary to me.
And speaking of a robot revolution, let's talk about regenerative technology in the wrong hands. Not really connected at all. But, Alright, in the classic X-Files Simpsons crossover episode, the Springfield Files, Homer thinks he's discovered an alien in the woods. Spoiler alert, turns out to be Mr. Burns. Smithers explains that Mr. Burns receives an advanced longevity treatment once a week, which allows him to cheat death. The treatment also makes him look and sound like an alien for a short period of time. Now, Mr. Burns is cartoonishly evil and lovable in his own weird way, kinda, but he does represent a certain segment of the population, the 1%, the movers and shakers of the world who often operate based on their own greed, always putting themselves before others and making the world a worse place to live in the process. And the idea of those people receiving life-preserving booster injections on a weekly basis, keeping them in power longer and longer, that's not fun to think about. And who knows, maybe this type of treatment is already being used today.
Okay, so this next prediction doesn't necessarily come from any one particular episode, but really the series as a whole. Throughout The Simpsons, if you look hard enough, you can see a continuous theme of subliminal messages that allude to the breakdown of society, which makes sense when you take into consideration the fact that Matt Groening, the creator of the series, is a self-admitted anarchist who believes in the dismantlement of hierarchical government and advocates for organizing society on a voluntary and cooperative basis. Throughout the show, messages like "I blame the breakdown of society" and "I love the breakdown of society" can be heard and seen. If you were to take a good look at society right now, no matter who you are or what your views are, I guarantee you can spot at least a few good cracks. If you can't, you might be oblivious. I mean, every day it's looking more and more like society is on track for a global collapse. Am I hopeful that we can band together and work things out? Sure. Am I cautiously aware of the most likely outcome? Yes.
Next up, we have a sickness quickly spreading throughout the population through packages of juicers. The Season 4 episode 21, Marge in Chains, is basically a Mother's Day episode, really. I mean, The Simpsons, as well as the entire town, come to realize just how big of an impact Marge really has on the town when she's suddenly out of the picture, locked up in jail. But there's also a subplot to the episode about a sickness that quickly spreads throughout Springfield. A new juicer is shipped from Osaka, Japan, but one of the packers has the flu and his germs get distributed amongst the packages, leading to all of Springfield getting sick. The flu becomes known as the Osaka Flu. Could something worse happen in real life though, with deadly germs being accidentally spread across the globe from a manufacturer with an ill worker? Possibly. I mean, it's in The Simpsons, so it will likely come true.
And finally, let's have some fun and dive into The Simpsons' prediction of an alien president. Honestly, maybe that's what the world needs. In episode 1 of season 8, Treehouse of Horror number 7, a presidential election takes place in Springfield, in which the two candidates, Kang and Kodos, are aliens. Do I think we're actually going to see this in real life anytime soon? No. But hey, in the future anything is possible. There are some things mentioned in the episode, however, that might happen sooner rather than later. When the town finds out that the candidates are in fact aliens, the idea of a third-party candidate taking office is raised, which is a bit more realistic. On the other, more dramatic hand, the idea of a foreign leader coming in, taking over a country and enslaving its people is also raised when the alien Kang wins the election and puts the people of Springfield to work, which has happened in real life before, but I'm really hoping doesn't happen again, but I guess only time will tell. I am cautiously optimistic.